Screw this. I'm so stressed. I need something to do to unwind. I know. I can play a relaxing game and review it. Two birds with one stone. Greetings everyone, I'm Hoodie Angel Brandon, and today I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about one of the most relaxing games from my childhood. Heck, maybe it's one of the most relaxing games ever. That game is Harvest Moon, Friends of Mineraltown. Background information. Harvest Moon, Friends of Mineraltown is a Game Boy game, and the 9th game in the series. The Harvest Moon games involve you running a farm. If I had to describe it myself, I'd say it's a goal-oriented life sim about farming. Or a dating sim. That's what most people seem to use it for. This particular one, Friends of Mineraltown, released in 2003 for Japan and North America, and 2004 in Europe. In addition, a second version in which you play as a girl, with some updated features called Harvest Moon More Friends of Mineraltown, was also released. Okay, I know someone will ask about this, so here goes. The Harvest Moon franchise was developed by Marvelous Interactive. Yeah, I know, I always thought Natsume was the developer too. Anyway, Natsume published the games under the name Harvest Moon until 2014, at which point Marvelous decided to have its subsidiary company, Xseed Games, publish it instead. But Natsume had the rights to the name Harvest Moon, so the official Harvest Moon series is now called Story of Seasons, and there's another series being created by Natsume that has the old name Harvest Moon, and it's all really confusing, so let's just start the actual review. Story and characters. The game starts with you visiting the farm of a friend, an old man you met as a child while on vacation. When you were lost, he found you and helped you reunite with your parents. He then invited you to explore his farm and play with the animals on your trip. Before you left, you promised to write to him and keep in touch. You stopped hearing from him, so you came to check up on him, only to find that he's passed on, but not before leaving the farm to you. It's up to you to revitalize it and carve out your own future in Mineraltown. The opening is a little different in the girls' version, but the end result is the same. You're a farmer now. Friends of Mineraltown has a diverse cast of mostly unimportant townspeople you can interact with if you want. For the most part, you can ignore them though. No one cares about them because we're here for the waifu. In addition to the main townspeople, there are a variety of hip and swingin' bachelors and bachelorettes you can get to know. For girls, there's Mary, the quiet librarian, Anne, the tomboyish innkeeper, Karen, who's something of a party girl and daughter of the local supermarket owner, Ellie, a sweet and caring nurse, and Potpourri, a mixture of dried flower petals and spices used for perfuming a room. Wait, nope, wrong Potpourri. Potpourri is a cute but somewhat spoiled and childish girl who is the daughter of the local poultry farm owner. On the guy's side, there's Gray, a quiet apprentice blacksmith, Cliff, a shy, out-of-work traveler looking for a job, and all-around cool guy, Rick, Potpourri's brother, who's a bit overprotective, the doctor, who's exactly what it says on the tin, and Kai, a laid-back guy who comes to town in the summer to run a beach shack. Unfortunately, this particular Harvest Moon doesn't let you marry a guy. You need the girl version, More Friends of Mineraltown, for that. It's like Pokemon, or Fire Emblem Fates. Only instead of locking a whole campaign and different characters or monsters behind a paywall, it's your actual gender and choice of spouse that's behind the second game. I'm really glad they dropped this for later installments. If you want to play as a girl or just really dig one of these less than desirable bachelors, go ahead and pick up the other version. Speaking of, I feel bad for the ladies. The game does have special secret marriage candidates. While guys can woo a goddess, girls get their choice of this guy, a racial stereotype, and a kappa. You know, kappas were known to do some unsavory things. Don't marry a kappa! I mean, I won't stop you if you really just love the guy for some reason. I guess I can't really talk. I did marry a fox girl. Anyways, the girls in this game are pretty cute. Speaking of cute, let's talk about the game's presentation. Presentation. This game has a charming art style with small, cute sprites for the main game and more detailed portraits for the characters. Well, I said more detailed, but that's not to say the regular sprites aren't detailed themselves. Background objects have a great level of detail too, and all the sprites are well animated. It's really pleasing to look at. The background music is really catchy. There are different tracks for each season, and they fit the theme of each one perfectly. Summer feels upbeat and energetic, while winter is slow and solemn, reflecting that all your crops are dead, your animals are locked indoors, and there's nothing for you to do with your life. Hooray! This music will probably forever be the music I associate with each season. They just fit so well. With that said, each seasonal tune loops for the duration of that season. After several in-game days, the same looping tracks can get a bit grating, despite how great they are. At least they do change each season, except the town theme. You're stuck with that one. It's a really good thing it's so catchy. Aside from those, the other tracks, like the ones for mini-games and hard events, are nice too, though you generally won't be hearing them enough for them to get annoying. Finally, a quick note, some of the translation can be awkward, non-existent, or just straight up wrong. While the overall presentation of the game is great, little mistakes like this can be a bit annoying, and they're kind of common in this game, which can detract from the experience a bit. Gameplay. In typical Harvest Moon fashion, there's plenty to do on your farm. You can purchase and raise animals, grow crops, and clear the land that's become overrun in the absence of someone to care for it. Branching out from there, you can explore the mountains south of your farm to fish, mine, and forage, which all allow you to rack up some quick and easy money early in the game. Going north of your farm into the titular mineral town, you can speak to the townsfolk. They may offer advice about living in your new farm or just want to chat. You can also gift them items you find or grow on your farm, or even food you cook once you get a kitchen. Each have preferences, so think carefully about what you give to who. And who knows, you may even find love in town. You set your own goals. Today, I want to go mine, or I want to upgrade my house, so I need to come up with however much money I need for that. It gives a lot of freedom. There isn't any real overarching goal like in a lot of the newer Harvest Moon games. While I like a lot of those ones too, and can appreciate their efforts to give the player a direct goal, some form of direction, it's just refreshing to have one where there's literally no goal but the ones you make yourself. There's actually a lot of planning and prioritizing in that regard. Starting off around your farm, every morning before beginning your day, you can check the TV, which has the next day's weather, info on upcoming events in town, some variety shows that allow you to learn new recipes or order things from the home shopping channel via the phone, as well as some shows that are just for fun, and finally some tutorials that teach you the game basics. You can cycle the channel with the D-pad, which isn't obvious at first. I didn't get it till like fall of my first game run. Oops. Most important are the weather and home shopping channel, but it's worth checking out every day. Next, your farm itself. It's become overrun since the farmer's death, so it's up to you to clear the field for planting seeds. In addition, you can find a tree that produces honey for you to ship each day, a water wheel that converts corn into bird feed, a lumber shed, and a mailbox where you'll occasionally get letters, though there's no visual cue on screen, so you do need to check every day. Actually, between the mailbox, the bee's nest, and the TV, there are little things that are easy to miss, that the game doesn't do a great job of explaining. There are a lot of secrets too, and sometimes it's to the point of being too cryptic. But it does a pretty good job of telling you a lot of the normal things if you pay attention to things like the TV and the library in town. I don't know, it's just some of this is like, how was I supposed to know to look behind the mine for a power berry? I don't know, some of the secrets are just a bit overboard. Okay, back on topic. Finally, and most importantly, your farm also has a barn, horse stable, and chicken coop. As you may have guessed, this is where you keep your livestock when they're not munching on grass you plant in the fields. For animals you can raise on your farm, you have chickens, cows, and sheep! Oh my god, look at them, they're so freaking fluffy! Those are the ones you can take care of to get products to sell. You also get a dog and a horse who you can interact with and will help on your farm. The dog starts as a puppy and once grown can ward off wild dogs that attack your livestock if you leave them outside overnight. The horse acts as a mobile shipping bin, which helps with harvesting. You can also ride the horse, but outside of a minigame, it's not that exciting since you can't ride it off your farmland. Finally, once you clear your field a bit, you can begin to grow crops, which is generally a less consistent but higher earning way to make money as opposed to raising animals. There are all kinds of crops you can grow, like tomatoes, carrots, sweet potatoes, pineapples, cabbages and sweet potatoes, corn and more sweet potatoes. Really, just grow sweet potatoes. Okay, man cannot live on sweet potatoes alone, yada yada. Sweet potatoes only grow in fall, so you do have to grow other stuff in spring and summer. But sweet potatoes really are the best money in the game. I'd recommend cabbages and pineapples for spring and summer respectively, though corn doesn't hurt for quicker cash while your pineapples grow in summer, and it can also be turned into bird feed. Obviously, you need to take care of any animals you have on your farm and water your crops. This can get tiring when you start the game, as you only have so much stamina. This can be increased by finding power berries hidden throughout the game. Eventually, you'll be able to handle more work. While you could do everything yourself, which gets harder as your farm gets larger and larger, soon enough there's no time to do anything but maintain your massive farmland. Unless you enslave an entire race of woodland fairies. What do you think you're doing? Get back to work! If you befriend the harvest sprites, you can request them to help you with your farm work, freeing up more time for you to do things like foraging and mining, or just allow you to tend to your whole field, which would be difficult to impossible to do on your own. As they help you with specific tasks, they'll get better at it, and will do it more efficiently, requiring less breaks to complete their work. With that freed up time, you can leave your farm and run north into town, which I'll discuss shortly, or south into the mountains to mine or forage. Anything you find on the ground in the mountains is free reign. Flowers can't be shipped but make great gifts to the townspeople, and various grasses, mushrooms, and berries can be sold for easy cash early on. Finally, the mountains is home to two mines, one that can be accessed year-round, called the Spring Mine, and one that's winter only that you reach by crossing the frozen lake, called, you guessed it, the Lake Mine. In here, you can break rocks with your hammer to get ore and gems for a little quick cash, and dig lower with your hoe. The mine it's kind of unfair. The levels are randomly generated, and so finding stairs down can quickly drain your stamina, and they can potentially just not appear at all. There's a trick where you save in the game's second slot before descending a level, and if you can't find the stairs, you reload. It's scummy, but I totally advocate using it. In fact, there are some other places like the horse races and the New Year's guessing game that can also be save scummed. Finally, you can go north of your farm into the titular mineral town. This is where most of the characters live, from random townsfolk to the harvest sprites to potential marriage candidates. You can also shop here for various goods at the general store, animals at the poultry and yodel farms, and get tools upgraded among other things. You can also take parts in various festivals and events. Some are just for fun, like the Harvest Festival, while others you can compete to win prizes, like allowing your animals to produce golden products, or betting at the horse races. Some of them are even interactive minigames which help break up the monotony of daily farm life. Finally, the townspeople. They all follow their own set schedules which help them to be a bit more interesting. They also have their own personalities, likes and dislikes. Like most people really hate weeds, except Popori. There's some kind of joke here, but I'm not gonna be the one to make it. You can give them gifts and talk to them daily to raise your friendship with them, which may earn you some nifty things like access to locked doors or recipes. With that said, revisiting this, I realized how little most of the townspeople matter. Most of them give you maybe a recipe for befriending them, which is cool, but in this particular game, you don't need to know a recipe to make it. Compare that to the newer games where if your character hasn't actually learned the recipe, you can't make it even with the right ingredients, and it just makes befriending these guys feel pointless. Further, a lot of them aren't particularly interesting compared to townspeople in some of the other games. Overall, they're there and they do their jobs well enough, giving the town some charm, but they could be better. Most of the characterization went to the marriage candidates. Just like the regular townspeople, you can build a relationship with each of the potential spouses by talking to them and giving them gifts. Unlike them though, you can actually see your progress with them via a heart that changes color the better your relationship. Their dialogue will change as your relationship grows. Like here, Anne is asking if girls should dress cute. Personally, I think everyone should dress cute.
For cute things everywhere!
But oh wait, this game doesn't let me change my outfit now, does it? Gonna have to play with the newer games for that. Also, you'll be able to trigger cutscenes as your relationship improves, which helps flesh out the feel of your relationship. Once you see all their scenes, raise their affection high enough, and have gotten a big bed, you can propose to the girl of your choice and get married. Each of them also has a rival you'll compete with for their affections, and you can trigger cutscenes for them as well. After some time has passed and you've seen all their scenes, they can get married too. When I was a kid playing this for the first time, Anne was the S-tier waifu. I was steadily romancing her for 3 years, bringing her flowers and eggs every day. And then my best bro Cliff swooped in. How dare he? I had to settle for potpourri. She's okay, but Okay, to be honest, I reset my file, replayed all the way to the point you can give Cliff the job, so he stays in the village and... I feel like I was supposed to tell Cliff something. Oopsie. Haha, sabotage. See ya, Cliff. And I only feel slightly guilty. I win this time, Cliff. I mean, I married Anne well before she even realized Cliff existed, but it's the principle of the matter. Do not cross me. Eventually, you and your new spouse can have a child who will grow to a toddler, and then stop. I'm very jealous of all these unaging townspeople. As the days go by, so too do the seasons. Each of the seasons change things like what crops you can grow, what you can find on the mountain, and so on. For example, during the spring, I typically focus on getting some basic tools upgraded enough to make field work decently bearable, and building up a decent pool of cash to buy more crops in summer. Summer is great for training up the harvest sprites for the coming fall. Fall is the big cash season, harvesting tons of sweet potatoes for easy money. Winter is the slow season since you can't grow crops. Okay, I'ma be honest. Yeah, there's actually a decent amount you can do in winter. It's a great time to work on your relationships with the townspeople, gather lumber and expand your house, upgrade tools like the watering can since you won't need it, fish, and most importantly, go to the lake mine, where you can find gems and, if you've fully upgraded all your tools, the cursed versions of your tools. But I'm easily bored, so when I don't see the money go up, I just sleep through it. Winter sucks in this game. The biggest problem is the repetition. Of course, this is a problem with most games like this, both in its own series and with other life sim type games like Animal Crossing. With no real set end goal, you just keep playing until you inevitably get bored. I don't hold that against it so much, since again, it's not a flaw exclusive to it, and to its credit, it tries to make things more interesting as time goes on. Some items in the mine won't appear until after a few years, some of the marriage candidates will get married, and your animals can and eventually will die. So they did try to make things more interesting. I think they did a good job of trying to alleviate this problem. Well, except the music. The lack of a real end goal is a double-edged sword. On one hand, the freedom to do whatever I want is great, but on the other, it's easy to lose interest. Instead of 2 super long goals of being married 50 years and making 100 million, a few more realizable but still long-term goals to work towards would have been great. It is repetitive, but between talking to villagers, fishing, mining, cooking, improving, and taking care of your farm, there's enough variety to keep you engaged for a while. With that said, I usually do get bored and drop off playing around year 3 or 4. Though I also know a lot of tricks to streamline playing and make progress faster than you're probably supposed to on your first playthrough, so your mileage may vary. Though I guess I can't blame the game too much. If you don't know exactly what you're doing, it takes a lot longer to do everything. So the pacing is more natural. What can I say? I'm just too pro. Still, more stuff to do after getting married while waiting for your child to be born and grow, stuff that only becomes available after that point, could be cool. Eventually, it just gets to the point where you're just sitting around waiting for festivals or crops to mature, to get enough to buy that new house, just waiting, sleeping to pass the time. It really is a life sim. And unfortunately, I've got my routine with this game streamlined enough that by the end of spring year 2, I've done most things that you can do. Once you have the mythic tools and have a self-sustainable farm, all that's really left to do is pass the days as the cash rolls in and you raise a family. It can be relaxing in its own way to not have to worry about much, but I really do wish there was a little more stuff to look forward to. More things that would happen in the coming years. After your child grows and year 3 allows you to get the teleport stone, The last timed event takes place after you've been married a whopping 50 years. I've always gotten bored of this game long before then. 5 years is the best I've managed. More events occurring, like your child growing beyond the toddler stage, and even other couples having children, would offer more to look forward to in the short term. In fact, those are some things implemented in some of the later Harvest Moon games. But for this particular one, this is where we have to wrap things up. So let's finish this with the verdict. Verdict. While I've played a fair number of other games in this series, I think I'd have to say this one is my favorite. It's simpler than some of the newer ones and has more of a sense of freedom, allowing you to play at whatever pace best suits you. And yet there's still so much to do. The characters feel decently alive, with set schedules and preferences. It really is like Mineral Town is full of old friends. While I do appreciate the efforts of future games to add a more complex story, more complex farm systems like the treat mechanic in A New Beginning, and things like customizing your character and even your farm building placement, they just sometimes feel a little cluttered compared to this game. Mostly the story bits and more complex game mechanics. I'm totally on board for more customization in any capacity. Basically, this game isn't perfect, and it feels like it's missing stuff by today's standards. But it still has a lot of great qualities too. Sometimes it's just great to revisit it, even if it's not the shiniest new toy, because it's got its own set of strengths that make it enjoyable on its own. If you're a fan of these types of games, there's no reason for you not to try this one out at some point. It's still a lot of fun while it does hold your attention. So that's Harvest Moon Friends of Mineral Town. Now, I'm not going to go out and become a farmer or anything anytime soon, but it was still an oddly fun and relaxing experience for me, even all these years later. While it is a little dated, it's still a great time. And I know I did some pretty bad things, like enslaving the harvest sprites and not helping Cliff, but I'm innocent, I swear. Why, I'm as sweet as a lamb. Ba 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 ba.